I do this every day. I do this daily, every day. I do this.
Hello all, this is DIYDrones Vodcast. This is our third episode, and I've got the privilege to talk to the people from ConservationDrones and what they have. Together I've got here Linpa and Koi, do I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah, that's close enough.
And Serge Winch. Hello guys, how you doing?
Very well.
Very well, thank you.
So tell me guys, how long have you been in this business of conservation drones? What's the time span been now?
I think we started talking about this in the end of 2011. But the organization was created, or at least the website was created in early 2012.
Okay, and then it was just such a big boom for you guys, and you really wanted to get into this. What was the first project that you guys ever packed on together?
The first project was a project on orangutans. We both work in Southeast Asia, and we both see a lot of biodiversity losses there and forest loss. And while that is occurring, we need to figure out ways to monitor the animals that are there. And orangutans build nests every night where they sleep in. And you can count those, and that will give you information where orangutans are. And we normally do that on foot. But we were thinking about if you could do it from the air, that would make our work so much easier. And that's how we got started with thinking about drones.
Okay. Great. What was your first platform that you used, or what was the first architecture, let me say, that you guys used?
Well, I think our first prototype was built on the Bixler plane, the Bixler hobby plane, and it was using, I believe, an APM 1.1, the old bulky one, that we just stuck onto the fuselage of the Bixler. And we flew that in Switzerland. We got very good results. It flew very well. It tracked very well. It was even able to carry a GoPro camera. And we were very encouraged with the results. And so we brought it to Indonesia to try flying it over the forests in Sumatra, looking for orangutans, like Serge mentioned.
Okay. That sounds very interesting. So did you just do an FPV type of setup, or did you actually install sensors on it, like maybe a thermal sensor or a
No, from the get-go we were flying autonomous missions, so we don't really have any FPV experience. So we always relied on the APM and flying pre-programmed missions programmed using the mission planner, and the APM that we flew with was connected to a GPS, and it had the barometric altimeter, some three-axis gyros, and accelerometers, and so on. So even at that point, when we were flying with the APM 1.1, it already had all these sensors that we could use. So that made it very easy for us to implement this drone in the tropics, even though neither of us had any prior experience building or flying these UAVs.
Yeah, I know. You first have to take that little baby steps, and then you get into the whole swing of it. Now, what platforms are you using now? Because I see on your website you've got the Maja, and you've got what else? You got the TechPod at Gary sponsored, not Gary. You got sponsored the TechPod as well.
Right. Yeah, so we have been trying various platforms. The TechPod is one of the more recent ones. We brought the TechPod to Belize in Central South America, and it was very exciting for us because we were flying in the open ocean for the first time with very strong winds, winds of up to about 40 kilometers per hour.
Sure.
And the TechPod was flying with an APM 2.5, I believe, and it still flew very well, even in those strong winds. More recently, we've been experimenting with the wing architecture, so moving away from the conventional fixed wings to just a flying wing, because we found that the flying wings are more rugged and they can take hard landings, so they are more suitable for operating in the kind of difficult terrain that our collaborators are working in. And we have been trying out the Team Black Sheep Kuiperina, which is really cool. It's very small and it's very light and it flies very well. In fact, we just came back from Nepal last week, flying this Kuiperina with WWF Nepal, and it was so easy for even beginners to learn to operate this Kuiperina based UAVs because they are so easy to launch and they could land very easily as well.
Yes, I saw on the DIYDrones website you posted a video there where the guys just threw him over the head and it was up in the air and it was just going. Was that the same one or is that just?
Yeah, that's the exact one that we were trying out, and the technology has gotten so good now that they were launching it or taking off just by pressing the auto button on an Android phone instead of using the transmitter. So they were very excited about being able to use their mobile phones to launch a drone.
Sure. So, what technology did you use to get this mobile file working with your? Is it just a drone planner with an Android-based system?
Yeah, so we were using Android Pilot, so one of the two Android-based mission planners, I guess. The other one is Droid Planner. Both work very well, but we were just playing around more with Android Pilot.
Okay. That's fine. And now, tell me now, any sensors that you have experimented with, like thermal piling, or maybe something to detect animals or humans, or you know?
So we've been playing around with various still photography cameras, mainly Canon cameras, because we can use the CHDK on that, so that allows us to take photos at a certain interval, and also importantly for the camera to shut down before it lands, which reduces the risk for any damage on the lens. So we've used several of those models because a lot of the data we collect and our collaborators collect is fine on normal photography. We've also been playing around with near infrared cameras to get an indication of plant stress, which is important to determine food availability for animals, but also important, for instance, for the agricultural community, because it guides them to where they have to apply water or fertilizer. And we've been playing around with various video setups like GoPros, Contours, and some others, and a little bit with thermal imaging cameras as well.
Okay. And now, while you're out there, have you any bad luck with the drone so far, like a bad crash or an unfortunate event that just could not be stopped?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had more of those issues during perhaps the first few months of this project, so sometime last year. There's always a learning curve, and we've experienced lots of crashes, and mainly because of human error. So we forgot to check the batteries. We forgot to connect something. Sometimes we forget to turn on the cameras even. Yeah, we
I
wasted.
know that feeling all too well. That happens so much
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, and you get very disappointed when the drone comes back and you check the camera and you wonder why it's empty. There are no pictures taken. But as the technology has improved over the last year, we have also learned more and more about how to operate these systems, and coming up with a detailed checklist on what to watch out for, to prepare the drones before launching them. So I would say more recently we are more confident and about the system, and the system has also gotten much more reliable.
Okay, no, that's really good news. Really good news. Now, where are you going next? I mean, you've been where? Let's start where you've been already. Let's just start there, because I see every now and again on these soft drones you get something on, and then you're here, and then you're there, and then you're this country, and then you're this, and it just sounds like you're over there. Tell me, where have you been already?
Ooh, that's quite a few countries. We started in Indonesia, then we went to Malaysia, Nepal,
Cambodia,
Congo, Gabon,
Tanzania,
Belize,
Madagascar,
Panama,
Germany, Scotland,
uh,
even Greenland.
India, I think a little bit. Yeah, so quite a reasonable spread of countries. And our next trip is Indonesia again.
Yeah, what are you gonna do there? What is?
Basically, several things. There's a reforestation project going on there where they're trying to replant trees, where they're planting trees in part of a conservation area, and we're trying to map that area and to see as well how orangutans are reusing that area if they're coming back. And we're also going to fly a little bit lower over forest to see if we can get some information on food availability for orangutans, and also to film one of the new study sites we have there where people follow orangutans on the ground.
Okay, now that sounds very interesting. Now in Scotland, you mentioned there's Scotland. What conservation did you do in Scotland?
That was a project to determine whether we could identify barnacle geese, which it's a geese that has their wintering grounds in Scotland, and whether the drones can be used to map the growth of marshes. The marshes sort of move into the estuaries, and the project was there's a project there that tries to monitor this. And drones can help them with monitoring this. So we went out there to test those things.
Okay, did you use like a near-infrared camera to get a false color of the plant growth?
No, we used a regular camera in this stage because that worked fine for that kind of sort of land expansion. But if we would do plant growth, we would have used a near-infrared camera indeed.
Okay, no, that's really awesome. So now tell me now, what you've built these frames, you've done these APM tests and stuff. What is the next step in technology that you're going to? The next phase you're looking at to better your cause and your.
Well, I think there are two main things. One is to do more of multi-rotor missions or trips, because we haven't really been using multi-rotors that much, and maybe Serge can talk more about this. The other thing we are looking to do is to continue to make the fixed wings more suitable for the kinds of conditions that they need to be operating in. So, for example, they need to be able to land in very small areas. Many parts of the tropics are covered by tropical rainforests, and there are often only very small, isolated grasslands that could be used to land these drones, and that has always been a constraint to where they can be deployed. So we are exploring things like parachute landing, or using flying wings so that they can land, they can crash land basically without much damage, to allow more people to use them in more locations. But the multi-rotors is another exciting thing, and Serge can talk more about that.
Yeah, the reason we're looking into those is that very often when people are operating in forest areas, they have these small areas to take off from, and they need basically some eyes above the forest. They need to be able to look above the canopy, look around to see if there's forest fires, if there's bushmeat hunters that are drying bushmeat under the canopy. And we know that we can see these small plumes above the canopy. So if we can equip patrol teams with that kind of multi-rotors, they'll be much more efficient in their operations.
No, that's definitely true. Definitely true. Now you said like get your plane to land in smaller spaces. Were you talking about stuff like applying flaps and building in parachutes?
We are exploring the parachute option. Sorry, the parachute option, and we're trying to build the parachute option into the flying wings. So currently, one of our technical directors, Brendan Duffy, he's trying to put a parachute on an X5 airframe, and it's progressing quite well. And we hope to have that airframe ready for testing in the next few weeks.
Sure, that I would love to see the blog post on that on DIYDrones. now, and so now once you've got this right and you get the multi-rotors up and running very successfully. Now, okay, what I want to ask is that now you've got your motor multi-rotors and your planes up and running. No? How do you get to the people out there? How do you get to the people and say, hello, we are here to help out? How do you get there? How do you get your word out? Because obviously you're very successful in what you've done. You've been all over the world in doing what you do.
Well, we're both ecologists and conservationists, and we have a lot of colleagues that work in the field. So what we often try to do is to come over and go to the field and train people in the field on how to use these systems, so that they don't get it out of a box or something. We go there, we show them how it works, we show them how the software works and what sensors they can use. And that's an approach that a lot of people like, and that's what we do with several partners like WWF and others.
Okay, and they just recall you over and over again. They say, okay guys, we need you over here, we need these guys trained, and then you pack your bags and there you go. Yeah, no.
Well, we first have to find the money to go. So often it's we have a preliminary stage of discussing what they need and what they really want to use the drones for. Sometimes during this stage we find out that the drones may not be useful for what they want to do. For example, they might want to map hundreds of thousands of hectares of a forest, and we would then tell them that it's not realistic. You would be better off doing that with satellite images. So this initial discussion stage is very important. And then we also have to make them understand the costs of assembling these drones and operating them in the field. Cost both in terms of money and time. Because one of the biggest challenges that we see is training these people to use these drones. And oftentimes these users have no prior experience of even flying RC airplanes, so it's a steep learning curve for them. So it's important to have this initial discussion started before we decide whether to commit to a project and to go somewhere.
Okay, no, that's really interesting. Now, I've been browsing here on your website, and here on your what can you do campaigns, you've got this applying drone technology to research and conservation of snow leopards in Mongolia. And there's a click to donate and everything. How has this been going? This is also a very, very interesting part of conservation, I found. It's the conservation of these beautiful animals.
Yes, it's not just a beautiful animal, but it's also a very beautiful and unique landscape that we are trying to conserve. So we are working with the Snow Leopard Conservancy on this project, and that's led by Dr. Rodney Jackson. We are currently in the process of campaigning to raise funds to go to that location. This is quite a challenging thing for us to do because that location is very remote. It's tucked away in the South Gobi Desert, so it's quite expensive to fly our team into that location. So we are trying to raise the money at the moment. And the other big challenge is to get the permission to bring our UAVs to that location, and that again can be quite difficult and a sensitive issue, especially because it involves getting to that location possibly through neighboring countries like China.
Okay, no, that's really no. If you go there now and you've done this whole training and setup, will you also just be doing a whole mapping thing with the Canon CHDK firmware, or would you go for a different kind of software that can actually pick up what differentiate between the snow and rocks and something like that?
Right. I think we will try various options. So we will definitely be bringing both still photograph cameras, the Canon cameras, and the video cameras as well. And we're also trying to raise funds for a thermal imaging camera, so that we can easily detect the heat signatures from the snow leopards against the background of ice or snow on the ground. So we will be bringing a lot of different sensors when we go to South Gobi next year.
Ah, that's wonderful. Yeah, those thermal imaging cameras is way expensive. I was doing research the other day to get just to get a general price on them, and yes, the FLIR started at what, $3,000. And I was like, wow, wow, and it's not even for a very good resolution. And then yes, I'm putting all my hands together for you guys, hoping to get the funding for a proper thermal imaging system. For even if you want to do like 100 meters or 200 meters, you need something like a 640 by 8, at 600 resolution of.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're looking at a price of maybe $7,000 to $8,000 at least to get a decent thermal imaging camera.
Now, have you ever explored the possibility of thermal Parlor Rays? What a thermal Parlor Ray is that it's a array of thermals. Thermal piles, and it comes in 31 by 32 or 64 by 62. And then what this does is it's just it remote sensors, and you can get up to 200 meter, and buying something for $1,300 or something like that. And sometimes it's much better than using a thermal imaging camera, I found.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Maybe you can send us a link of that, and we can try to play around with
No,
it.
no, I'll send you a link. It's very interesting hardware, and it's strange that nobody has really picked up on it, or maybe they have and just keep quiet about it. but but anyway, so now the big question is, now when you're out there in the field, have you ever found a hunter or get some real action, or is every time you go there just training and getting the people to know what the drones can do for conservation?
I think so far we have been focusing on training and just raising awareness of this technology and how it could be used for conservation. We are actually quite happy that we haven't really encountered any hunters or poachers so far. So it's mostly just raising awareness and introducing the technology to the users.
Okay, and is it easy? Is it easy when you go out there and you try to teach them? So now you got to go to these guys and you need to teach them how to work Mission Planner and how to launch the drones. And is it hard doing it, or is it the software is so easy for the people to understand and they just get it one time, the first
Well,
time?
it's not easy at all. I mean, because we are talking about users who have no prior experience. So even though Mission Planner is such a user-friendly platform, and APM is such an easy and simple out-of-the-box working solution, but in the field, we have to further simplify the technology for many of these first-time users. What they are really looking for is a big red button that they can push and send the drone flying.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we have to improvise to make it or to try to reach that kind of simplicity so that they can use it. And that's something that we have learned over the over the year or over the 2 years of working with these partners. And I think during our last trip to Nepal, just last week, we managed to do that with the Kaiparina airframe. Partly because it's so easy to operate, it's so light, and also partly because they can now operate it with an Android device. So the Android device essentially is that big red button. They just press a few, they can switch between the different flight modes just by pressing buttons on the Android Pilot or the Droid Planner. So I think we are very close to that stage where they can easily operate this on their own without much training.
Okay. Now, when you go over and you reach the airport, do you ever get trouble getting these drones out of the country we're currently and into the new country, or out of the old country or other country that you've been into your country where you live, or do you ever pick up issues, real big issues, or do you organize beforehand to the airport that you're bringing in these drones, or you just hide them away in your suitcase?
Now we normally we arrange letters from our partners in the field that will help us to clear customs, and we fly. We come in with those letters that will show that we'll bring in this kind of gear. But sometimes when you then get back to your own country, you get into trouble. I was traveling back to the Netherlands a while ago with a quadcopter. And the guys at customs were like, "Oh, what's this?" I was a quadcopter that I put together, and they were like, "Oh, so you're bringing it into the country?" And I was like, "No. It's I brought it out of the country." And they said, "Well, but you have no proof of that. And next time you should take a picture of it, or let us take a picture when you bring it out of the country." So we normally try to get the letters to avoid those things, but sometimes it's unavoidable that somebody at customs will say something about it.
But you never had real bad trouble that they said, okay, this drone is getting confiscated, you'll get it once our investigation is done. Or
No.
you didn't get no.
No.
Well,
Okay, so you've been one of the lucky ones.
I think it's also because we only use off-the-shelf items, airframes. So all of the drones we use look like toy planes. And sometimes we even tell the customs officials that they are toy planes, and they just wave us through like that.
Okay, yeah, that it's basically an hobby, and you say it's a hobbyist thing.
Yeah.
No, great. Now I'm here on your website, and I see your invite us section. Could you explain? Can you talk about more about invite us? Is it how I have got a area here in South Africa, and I like to invite you guys to come to South Africa and do some conservation, or what is this invite us?
Well, it's basically just a way of reaching out to new partners and to go to places we haven't been before. So if you are a conservation organization in Kenya or South Africa, and you would like to explore this technology for your application, then you could click on the invite us and write an email to us and begin the process of exploring the feasibility of us going to that location, based on the needs, the objectives of the drone use, and whether there is ways we could raise money together to go to that location.
Okay, no, that's awesome. Do you guys have anything else to say to use of drones? How can one contribute to your cause?
Well, I mean, we're of course we're all trying to explore different sensors and making cameras smaller and having things better integrated, having the software even more user friendly, and this only happens because of the large network of people working on this and writing on the blogs, providing suggestions, and the people doing the coding, etc. So, I mean, all that development and ideas come from a large group of people. And so if people look at our website and have an idea for a particular issue, then we're always happy to hear those. So for instance, for the thermal imaging cameras and things like that, or to use smaller cameras that are high resolution, and anything that will help us. There's so much out there at the moment, and we're a small team, and we can't browse everything and test everything that's out there. So we learn a lot from the suggestions from other people. So those things are always extremely welcome from our end.
And I should add that DIYDrones.com is sort of the main resource that we went to when we started the whole project, and we learned almost all of what we know from DIY drones and the community on DIY drones. So we are very grateful for this community, and that's why we continue to post on DIY Drones blog, and to post links on our website back to DIY Drones, so that the new users can also make full use of the information on DIY Drones. Okay.
Well, guys, thanks for talking to us. It was brilliant, very, very enlightened. Yes, I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Huh? Thanks,
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.